Hello and welcome back, future scientists. I'm Mr. K with Mississippi Public Broadcasting. We're going to continue our unit today talking about Charles Darwin. And what I really wanted to do is tell you about the theories of evolution that were around before Charles Darwin came to the scene. So these were the ideas and the concepts that people had pre-Darwin. So that's what we're going to talk about, is what was the scene looking like before Darwin showed up, and what was the general idea of what was going on here. So let's go ahead and get started. So before Darwin, we had this theory known as Lamarck's theory, and this was the scientist that came up with it, was Lamarck's theory, okay? So he had two key principles. The first one was use and disuse. So the idea here is that a body part that an animal frequently uses becomes more developed, while those that are not used deteriorate over time. And his main example of this were giraffes. Why do giraffes have such long necks? Well, giraffes live out on the savannah where there's not a lot of trees. And when you do find a tree, you want to be able to eat all the leaves off of it. And so these giraffes were stretching their necks as much as they could. They were stretching their necks to get those leaves off of the top of the tree. His idea was that because they were stretching their necks so much, it must be very important, and so their necks are going to grow a little bit in order to accommodate and help them reach those leaves. Okay? So that was his first idea, was the idea of use and disuse. His second idea was the idea of inheritance of acquired characteristics. What this means is that traits that an organism gains or develops during its life can be passed down to its offspring. So why do giraffes have long necks? Well, giraffes are stretching for those leaves, their necks are getting longer, and then when they reproduce, because their necks were so long, they pass that long neck trait down to their offspring. So that's kind of the idea that people had before Charles Darwin showed up. Okay, let's talk about this idea a little bit. So the theory of use and disuse. According to Lamarck's idea of use and disuse, giraffes have long necks because they frequently stretch to grab the highest leaves off the tree. The behavior of the animal modified their organs, and their offspring inherited those improved structures. Now, this might seem like it makes sense on the surface, but let's dive into it a little bit and see if we can disprove this idea. I wanted to show you this picture of these two dogs. Look how cool these dogs look. One thing you might notice is that look at their ears. This is not how their ears normally look. These ears have been cropped, and what that means is if you are around dogs a lot, you know that they usually have those floppy ears. But some owners of dogs will get the dog's ears cropped. And what that means is they kind of get like pinched back a little bit like this. There's a couple reasons why people do that. One, they just like the look, but also it can keep the ears safe. If the dog is like a herding animal, they don't want other animals biting at their loose ears, so you get them kind of pinched back and they might be a little bit more safe like that. Well, according to Lamarck's theory of inheritance of acquired traits, if these two individuals had their ears cropped, then when they had offspring, if Lamarck was correct, then dogs would pass on cropped ears. And a lot of y'all, if you have cats, sometimes people get their cats declawed. They get the front claws taken out so that they're not scratching up all their furniture. Well, if Lamarck's theory was true, then when these dogs and cats had offsprings, they would have those traits too. The ears would be cropped and the claws wouldn't be there in the cats. But that's not how this happens, okay? So there are many more examples that disprove this theory. Animals do not pass on traits that have been acquired during their life. Instead, they pass on their genes. So when that dog with the cropped ear have offspring, the offspring is not going to have cropped ears. It's going to have normal ears. When that cat that's been declawed has offspring, it's still going to have claws. Because we're not passing on traits from the parents, we're passing on the genes. And even if you take the claws out or cut the ears, you're not changing the organism on a genetic level. You're just changing the traits and not their genes. And that's what we pass on to our offspring, is the genes. So y'all, thank you so much for being here today and following along with me. Your teacher has some other work for you to do, so make sure to give that your best effort, and I hope everybody has a great day.